It's going.
All right, it's on. All right, so you are subject number 4 from the solo MDMA experiment.
Yep.
I'm not going to say who you are because they're all anonymous.
Okay.
But I wanted to see what you thought about it solo versus taking it in the context of like...
Wait, how are you going to do this anonymous when obviously...
I'm just fucking with you. No, I want to see what you thought of MDMA, like the benefits of solo MDMA versus taking it as like a marriage saver.
Did it save our marriage?
No, it's like a marriage... It's just like a marriage enhancer.
Okay.
So wait, basically what I'm trying to ask you is, you took it, like we first took it as like a, just to take it together. And
how many years ago was that?
It's 4 years. Or no, it was 3 years ago.
Okay.
Because Maggie was 1, whatever. So it was 3 years ago. No, it was 4 years ago because we've done it 3 times. And we've done it once a year.
No, whatever. It was 3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago and we've done it 3 times. All right, then this next time we'll do it be our 4th.
Okay.
Anyway, so you took it in that context. All right. And what'd you think of, like, what'd you get out of that? I know what I got out of it.
When we took it together?
Yeah.
Well, when we took it together, it was a time that was just difficult in every relationship where, you know, you have tiny kids and...
Our kids were, what, 3 and 1?
I think so. Do you want me to close that?
No, it's all right.
Okay. And now they're
4 and 6.
almost 5 and 7,
yeah.
So running around outside together. But I got so much out of that because, you know, it's just a hard time for anybody in their lives, especially when you have small kids and, you know, the pandemic had happened and we just like, it was just a lot of weird stuff going on. So I had a lot of postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, postpartum rage, and I just needed to feel, I think, heard, and it was hard for me to express myself. So I felt like what I got out of that was that you heard me, and not only did you hear me, but you understood me and then reciprocated what you had been going through as well.
Yeah. And it was way different than what you thought it was going to be when we went to the beach and took it, or you had no idea what to expect? Because I had no idea, because I'd never done it.
I had no idea what to expect.
Like, when we took it down there, I brought the Bluetooth speaker, and I thought we were going to, like, dance for 4 hours. And, like, I thought it was going to be, like, a party atmosphere. And then I remember it kicked in. It kicked in for me faster than you. And I just remember I started, like I just, like, curled up into you. I, for some reason, thought, like, for my whole experience, I always thought MDMA and ecstasy was, like, party time. So I was like, as soon as this kicks in, I'm going to want to get up and, like, move around. But I remember, like, diving in, like, trying to get underneath you on the couch. And I just started, like, pouring all this emotional stuff out on you, which was rare because I'm not a very emotional man.
I mean, you think you're not.
I'm not one to be like, here's how I'm feeling. Like, I'm not very, like, classically emotional.
Yes.
Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you're very in touch with
I'm in touch, but I'm
your
saying
emotions.
I'm not an overly emotional man.
That's a true statement.
All right. So, like, it all started coming out because I remember you were kind of confused. You were like, what the fuck?
Well, I was kind of like, well, this is nice because at the time, truly, I didn't really feel that lovable. So it was really nice to, like, be reminded that I was still loved by you. And then you're telling me the reasons as to why why you felt that way. And it was just very validating to hear those reasons, like...
It was cool. I feel like it was like a reset.
To this day, it still sticks with
me. It wasn't
me.
just a reset. I think it was like, it kind of was like a reminder of like why we're married, why we have kids, and it took everything else out of the picture and just showed us like...
But also why we would be at odds at times.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it would show us that, and then be able to have empathy towards each other. Where I think a lot of couples, when that pathway of communication isn't open, like people just constantly take offense to each other and
they don't
understand each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of taking MDMA as a couple, because you can hear each other very clearly and also, like, have your defenses down so that you're not, instead of me being like, for example, and I always use this example, and you don't have to use this in this conversation, but one of the things you said was, why do I feel like I can just sit here while you get the kids ready every day, and I just sit here with my coffee. And then that was something that actually had bothered me. And then I was like, thanks for saying that. And then I also understand, though, you're exhausted. Like, you're carrying the weight of everything on your end while I'm carrying the weight of everything on my end. And so instead of being upset about that and being like, yeah, why the fuck do you do that? I was like, no, I get it. Like, we're both exhausted.
Yeah.
And so it really helps you hear each other.
I think it helps you hear each other. And I think it helps you, like when you're married for multiple years, I think you start to pile things up, like, in your corner, and, like, just, like, walls of, like, defense that are, like, this is why she's fucked up, or this is why he's fucked up. And, like, it kind of makes all of that evaporate for a couple hours, and you get back to, like, oh, no, this is why we're together, and all that stuff's kind of, like, just mud that gets picked up along the way of, like, daily grinds and all. And then we did it that time, and then we've done it twice together since, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because we did it again here in front of the fireplace.
That was nice. That's when we were like that weird painting.
Yeah,
that was more like an energy reconnect. Like, the first time was truly like a holy shit, like, aha moment for both of us. And then I feel like the second time was, let's just reconnect. Like, we've, life gets in the way, especially today's day and age. Everybody's just super busy and everybody's going through their own stuff. And it was like, we just need to reconnect. And so that's what that was for me, at least. And I feel like it was like that for you too.
Definitely. And then the third time we did it was this May. And I thought it was cool, but
where were we for that?
We were in Atlantic City. That was that weird thing, that idea I had. But
well, that was a weird time.
That was a weird time. But
we learned that
Atlantic City is a fucking weird place. I just had this idea where I was like, it wasn't mine. It was given to me, but it was like, dude, you can get cheap beachfront rooms.
Who gave you this idea?
My cousin.
Oh, well.
But
okay.
I was like, I hadn't been in Atlantic City in 20 years.
But like, we would have definitely done better taking it in like a little hut on the beach somewhere that's secluded. Like, that's what would have been healing for us.
Also, too, just the third time we did it, I felt like it was definitely cool. But since we were already in a good spot and things were going pretty well, and it was springtime and things were coming out of the winter, and the winter was pretty good. We didn't have much to talk about, so we just kind of were reconnecting again. Mm-hmm. So it was if we had just gone,
it was almost as equivalent to a date night.
Yeah,
where it's just yo, I missed you. I haven't been able to hang out with you lately.
So it wasn't that necessary. I remember going through it and being that was cool, but we didn't come to any conclusions, and it kind of made me think because I've always said I want to do this once a year on our anniversary, but after we did it for the third time, I was kind of maybe this should be in a box somewhere where if we need it, we take it, or if something bad happened, or if we couldn't talk for whatever reason, or if
one of those things we know when we would need it.
Yeah.
So anyway, flash
forward to now. So then
now.
that kind of wrapped up my study.
Well, we both said we didn't. We're done with this for a while.
True. And that wrapped up my study of MDMA as a marital thing. And I still think every couple should do it once, at least, minimum. And I think some couples might need 2 or 3 shots of it. I mean, whatever. So I kind of came to the conclusion that doing it once a year sounds great, but it's kind of it gets a little redundant. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you just go away, you're going to get kind of the same benefit. But if you have stuff that's brewing, then it's time to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that brought me up to my next study, which was the benefits of MDMA solo. Because I read the book Solo MDMA, and I was I got to try this myself and give it to some people. So I gave it to 4 people. The first guy I'm going to try to talk to him to, because he had such a profound experience, I don't even want to try to explain it. The second guy is going to have to do it again, because he was very wound tight about the whole scenario. And I think it took him 1 session just to realize that it was okay. So I think the second time he does it, he's going to see the benefits of it. But I was giving them 120 milligrams or 125 milligrams followed by a 50 milligram booster at 80 minutes. That was the protocol. I was the third subject. I went outside. I put a blanket down. I brought myself a pitcher of water, my Bluetooth speaker, and I was just listening to music. Slowly, I started to feel real good. but it was very like casual. And I was just like listening to music, staring up at the full moon. And I was like, this is really cool. You know, I'm just hanging out. And then it started to get a little crazy outside because like the foxes were running around where I was laying down. And I was like, I don't feel like getting a fox run over me right now and have to go to the hospital and be like, I got bit by a fox and my pupils are all wild. And if you get bit by a fox, you have to go through like a rabies round. It's a fucking mess. And the foxes would bite you, I feel like, if you were laying on a blanket outside in the dark.
Maybe.
Like if a fox, because they play tag in the yard.
Yeah.
So if one of them were to like run across me, there's a good chance I'd get bit by it. So I wasn't being like paranoid or anything. I was like, I do not feel like dealing with that right now. So I came inside. And then that was right around the booster time and right around when it started to ramp up. So I took the booster. I went to take a piss. And as I was coming back out of the bathroom, I just stopped in front of your full-length mirror and like sat down for a second. And I swear to God, like the second I saw myself, maybe it was like the first person I saw since I took it, I got all those swells of like empathy and like wanting to like just blob. So I started talking to myself in the mirror. I started giving myself like a weird pep talk. And I was just getting these like swells of emotion like you get on MDMA, but they were all me and me. So I was like staring at myself. But then what would happen would be like, I would like talk to myself. I would, for some reason, like I was like pushing my hands together, like folding them like a prayer. And like kind of, I probably looked like a fucking complete psycho. So I'm sitting there in the mirror, like kind of rocking and just talking and being like, you know, just quietly like pepping, like just complimenting myself and being like, you're a good person, all this stuff. And just literally like the same way I would talk to you when I'm like, just give me a second. I got to tell you how awesome you are. I was doing that to myself. And then like in between like thoughts, I was like singing the music that I was listening to and like just kind of swaying around, not like dancing, sitting down almost. And it just like kept going and kept going. Like as I was giving myself pep talks, like other people in my life would come into those pep talks and then I would just go off on a tangent and like think all kinds of good stuff about them and like how much I love them and like what they mean to me. And I was like going around. A couple times I like fucked up and got my phone out and like texted a few people that I knew could handle the fact that I was like kind of whacked and they knew what was going on. So I sent like a couple of texts here and there. Like I texted Mark and was just like, dude, you're like a really good friend, bro. Like I don't tell you enough, like how much you do for me. Like I was like, then I'd be like, dude, stop. So I put the phone down. And then like I texted, I was like having a hard time not pouring all this like love that I was feeling out. And then it slowly kind of just like wound down. And I went to bed, woke up, and I had, with the exception of like a little bit of like a spacey burnout feeling the next day, zero negative repercussions. And then by the time you and the kids came home, I like couldn't get enough of you guys. And it lasted for like 5 days. Like I still can't get enough of you guys technically, but like if they go outside, I'm kind of like, cool, go outside. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'll be back. Or like if I get some quiet time. But for me, it was like all benefit, just as much benefit as like we had with our, like, you know, if you picture our marriage and like the entity that is the union of our marriage, whatever love we poured into that, I did to myself in the mirror. And I'm talking like I went through like my 20s, my 30s, my life, everyone I've known, and like sorted them out. And like it wasn't like manic and crazy. I was like crystal clear thinking about people. And if someone popped up that I was like, yeah, I don't need to like that person can stay where they, you know, just kind of like literally sorted out the entire catalog of like emotional connections in my brain. So for me, it was a 5-star experience.
Yeah.
That's why when you came home, I set aside the day where I was like, you're going to do this today. And I gave you the same dose and I gave you... Same timeline, same setup. Except you did it early in the morning and I took the kids out.
Well, and I'm a morning person. So.
Yeah, so you can't really fuck around at night. But then, so what I want to ask you is what did you get out of the solo one?
So what happened is, I'll just tell you about like the timeline of me taking it. But I took it when you were still here. And... you know, I was just like kind of walking around, hanging out with Love. And I guess it crept in faster than usual, I feel like, for some reason. Maybe because I was alone. And maybe I didn't have you there to have it happen to first. Because you seem to metabolize this stuff quicker. I took it and then I started to just feel like, I could feel like that feeling coming on of feeling really like good and loving and all this stuff. And immediately I just laid down in bed because, you know, when we take it together, like I just kind of hold you really tight.
Yeah.
And instead I did that with myself, and I just grabbed a pillow and like held on really tight to it and just took some super deep breaths and was kind of humming to myself on every exhale. So it was kind of like meditative, I guess. And I just remember you saying to me, like, you need to take, like, when you start feeling these feelings, you need to take them inward. Like, you need to turn them in towards yourself. And so I did that for, I don't even know how long. I don't know. It was probably an hour.
2 hours.
But I just started talking.
Hear from you for like 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So I started talking to myself, and I just started thinking about, like, you know, there's a lot of hard experiences that I don't even understand from my own childhood. Like, I just don't grasp them. Like, I don't have full memories of them. I don't, like, I had a really good childhood, but there are definitely parts that have obviously impacted me that I don't even fully grasp. And so I just kept being like, you're a good person. Like, you don't have to fully, you don't have to beat yourself up for anything that you've ever gone through as like a child. And like, you're learning every day, and just like repeating all these affirmations to myself that I guess I needed to hear from myself. Because another person or you can tell me that a million times and it feels good to hear it, but it's not the same as telling yourself that so genuinely. And so that felt really good. And then after I started to feel like I got all those emotions out towards myself, and even about like my present moment, like, you're doing a great job, and, you know, just, I don't know, I've been in it lately in my head. So I really
a big change because you graduated school and started work. So it was like,
and it's a really weird thing. Like, I feel like when you're younger and you graduate school and you move on to the next chapter, it all is kind of a train just chugging along.
Yeah.
And it's like, this makes sense. Like, this is what I do next. But I've had like a 10-year period in between where I would have continued that train in my 20s and what I'm doing right now. And so I've lived an entire 10-year lifespan of raising a family, like getting married, and all these big changes happening. And it kind of put like this kind of, we interrupt the scheduled programming to do this for 10 years, you know, and then I jumped back on, to like have a brighter future for myself. Oh, and, it's just been weird. It's been strange, but good. It's just weird. It's a weird thing to experience. Older, so and also life is different now. Yeah. Like, the whole world is so different than it was 10 years ago.
But also when you're young, everything seems like it's in a linear, like,
that's what I'm trying to say,
timeline. So it's
right.
Like, I did this, now I'm doing this.
Right. But then and everybody I'm working with, I see them on that linear timeline. And I'm like, oh shit, like 40s,
I'm in you start to realize like the cycles of life.
You also start not caring about things that people that are on that linear timeline care about. So it's very strange to observe myself, because I'm an intelligent being and I can see all these nuances. Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, this is weird.
When people are that young, they don't, everything's like a movie they're watching of themselves, because that movie ends when
so now I'm watching them watching the movie of themselves, and them watching the movie of me, and me watching the movie of me. I'm like, oh my god, this is so uncomfortable. That's the only word I can think of, is it's uncomfortable, but it's not bad because it's growth. So I've been in a really weird space for the last couple months, and I'm also exhausted because I went through like a year of school, and you're exhausted. Like, it's just a weird time period in life, but it's not bad. It's just weird.
That's what I kept getting out of it, that like everything was so perfect.
Yeah. And like, I also have to, and I got out of it, like, I need to start, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, I need to start like remembering that, and remembering that like everything is in a perfect timeline, and it's okay. Like, I find peace in that, and like I needed to be reminded of that. So then I started feeling thankful for you. And then that's when I got on the iPad, because you took my phone away from me, which was a good call. Even though
because I knew what I had done, I was like, if you have your phone, you're going to
I was disciplined, though. I was disciplined. Like, I didn't text anybody else. Like, I didn't have any desire to text anybody else.
Yeah, you could.
But I don't even remember what I said to you.
Well, that iPad has no contacts in it either.
I don't even remember what I said to you.
I was just like long barrages of like, I love you texts. But you were pumping yourself up a lot, too.
Oh, that's good.
So you were like, oh, I'm good. You were like a lot of texts about how cool that you were as a person, and how you were loving yourself and all this. So I've
been in a weird fucking headspace, and it tie that in with like my hormone imbalances or whatever, and like I get fucking whack.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to get grounded. So for me, that was a very grounding experience mentally, because I tapped back into like, fuck yeah, like
this is what I'm doing.
I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
And like it's all okay. And like everything that I've been worried about it's so obsolete. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, like it's just stuff you got. It's just tension that's always there.
It was a good reset, and that's what it
Yeah.
was for us the first time we took it. It was a couple reset, and so that all was amazing. But then the second I started to come down off of it, that's where I had a lot more physical side effects than you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just what I'm prone to.
Some people get hit by it.
I was exhausted, but because MDMA is a stimulant, I was exhausted but couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Like felt like I needed a nap. That's the kids. Hold on. So anyway, yeah, I felt like I needed to take a nap, but I couldn't sleep. And then I just felt really drained. And I don't say this to make anybody scared of taking it, because I feel really good now, but it just took me like 2 or 3 days to like come back out of it.
Yeah.
I was just really fatigued, and I felt a little bit disassociated like the night that we went out after it.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, I'm so not even here. And it wasn't even like I felt sad or down or anything.
You were just tapped.
I was just tapped out.
Yeah.
Like I felt nothing. I was completely neutral. And it was kind of nice because I'm used to feeling high strung.
Yeah.
So it felt good to feel neutral. I wish I could feel like that more, but like with a little spark of joy in there would have been nice.
You're just flat.
But yeah, I was really flat. And then I felt like I couldn't get enough sleep. And I felt physically hungover from it. And like now that I don't feel physically hungover anymore, and I feel like I can think clearly again, it's always hard because at first when I'm feeling that way, I'm like, this isn't worth it.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have that reset. I mean, it was worth it. It is what it is. Like, I can't say whether it was worth the come down or not worth the come down. Like, it is what it is and was what it was. And here I am, and I do feel good. Do I feel like I could have gotten there without that? I probably couldn't have. Like, it always does reset
It's
you.
a catalyst, yeah.
But I would love to it made me restart myself into like, I need to start taking good care of myself again. Like I need to prioritize sleep. I need to prioritize, and I do try to, you know that.
Yeah.
But like I need to make sure that just made me take an assessment of my whole life and like, what am I feeding myself emotionally, spiritually, physically, food-wise? What am I doing? And so that was a good reassessment of myself.
But you did get some negative side effects.
Yeah, I did physically. And mentally, I was just tired.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I had any depression from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm like kind of trying to study now. So I want people to try it. Is like, I don't get any hangover from it, but I'm also like, I've got like a lot of built-in like defenses against like feeling any kind of way.
And I'm more prone to it.
I never get sick, mostly because it's just like a head game I play with myself where I ignore all physical symptoms until they knock me down.
And for me, if I start feeling physically unwell,
you lean into it.
It makes my brain start being like feeling unwell.
Yeah. The only thing I got was I was like a little, like the next day I went to like Mission Barbecue for some weird reason. Because I was like, I need to eat. Because I didn't eat all day. And the place kind of sucks. But
probably hits at some time.
It did when I first went there. I thought it was good. Then like I went back, but whatever. I went in there and like the lady was trying to ring me up, and like I could tell she was looking at like this fucking burnout, because like I was like, can I get a large drink too? And she'd be like, yeah. And I'd just like stare at her, and she'd be like, they're right there. And I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, so I was fried, but like it wasn't negative. Yeah. I still like went about the day, did everything I normally would do, mailed a ton of packages, like I did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, even at the post office, I was like, I'm fucking cooked today. Like,
I was comparing it to my ketamine experience too. And what I like about ketamine is I don't really have any side effects the next day.
Yeah.
Because for me, you know that I'm high strung, and like I tend to be high strung. I'm trying to rewrite that narrative to be more even keel. But like ketamine brings me back to a nice baseline of like, yo, you don't have to feel like this. You know, you don't have to be so.
See, I agree with that. And ketamine, I feel it gives me like a glimpse, but like since it disassociates me, I guess, I don't know, or it's so dreamy, I don't go through all like the meat and potatoes of my life on ketamine.
Yeah,
I like I zoom out so far that like it looks like the world's like a board game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all I got to do is move piece A and point B. But like ketamine also brings like a lot of nonsense in, where I'll be like, you don't need to worry about it anymore, but you should call this person from high school.
But for me, ketamine just zooms out so far that I'm like, why are you so whacked out about all this stuff that doesn't matter? So that's how it resets me, where I'm just like, none of that really matters. Everything's good.
Yeah.
With MDMA, it was just a little bit more fantasy for me in a way, where it was just like, do you really, like, you know how, like, it does make you feel like your genuine self, but at the same time, it almost puts rose-colored glasses on you, MDMA.
For me, I get down to the meat of it.
Really?
For
me, I felt like I always have a little bit of rose-colored glasses on, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Not like in a unreal way. It's just...
No, the MDMA for me gets to like... I like... From like a place of empathy, I'm able to like sort everything out in my life.
But I did turn it inward, which was good.
Oh, I didn't hear from you for hours.
Yeah.
This was like the final end, and then we went and got you smoothies. And
I didn't really look in the mirror that much.
I did the whole time, but it's weird because I never look in the mirror except when I buzz my
and
head.
I'm in the beauty world, so like I'm always looking in the mirror.
24/7.
But mine was more like I just laid in bed and like held the pillow.
I think the solo one's really good. I don't think solo MDMA gets enough credit for what it does. And like that book Solo MDMA is really cool. It's got some like it's a lot of good information. And the cool thing about the book is it's not like here's how you do this. It's like here's why you should take solo MDMA, but it's going to be completely up to you what happens. My next MDMA experiment, I want to do it in a group setting.
Interesting.
Just to see what it's like.
Because I've never taken
I'm
it
not
with
saying like a
anybody
party
other
setting.
than you.
I'm saying I would like to take it in like an intimate friend circle setting.
All right, well, I'm good on taking MDMA.
You're good.
You're
Off my list for MDMA research. You've done enough.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like I got
I feel like you got a lot
out
of it. Yeah, I was happy with the results.
It's unfortunate that I have such physical, effects from it. But also I have to remember too, like I'm coming out of like a year grind.
Yeah.
So like I'm just tired in general.
Yeah.
So that's why these last few days have been really good for me to like just stay home.
It was perfect timing because you had like 4 days off.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking time out of your morning to talk to me.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thanks for listening.